After leaving his small town with nothing but a guitar and a worn-out backpack, Ed Sheeran arrived in London. He was chasing a dream, but what he found was a city of harsh realities. He had no money, no home, and honestly, not even a real plan. He was just a kid with a guitar, lost in a massive, unforgiving metropolis. His nights were a patchwork of borrowed comfort. He crashed on friends' sofas, sometimes for a night, sometimes for a week, always feeling like he was overstaying his welcome. There were other nights, colder and lonelier, when sleep was a luxury he couldn't afford. He'd wander the empty streets until dawn, his guitar his only companion. But Ed possessed something far more valuable than a roof over his head. He had a relentless, almost stubborn determination. This fire inside him refused to be extinguished by the cold London nights or the gnawing hunger in his stomach. So every single day, he turned street corners into his personal stages, small, smoky bars into his concert halls. He played at open mics where the microphone crackled and the audience was more interested in their drinks. He'd even play in empty rooms, just to hear his own voice echo back at him, to feel the vibration of the strings. Music was his survival. Songwriting became his diary, his therapy, his way of making sense of the world around him. He wrote constantly, filling notebooks with lyrics scrawled in the dim light of a street lamp or the back of a night bus. He wrote about the sting of heartbreak, the raw, aching pain of a love lost. He wrote about survival, about the grit and grime of living on the edge, one day at a time. And he wrote stories, beautiful, tragic stories of the people he met on the streets, the forgotten souls, the dreamers, the lost. It was during this time that he saw the struggles of addiction up close, the darkness that could swallow a person whole. This experience inspired one of his earliest and most powerful songs, The A-Team, a haunting ballad that captured the fragile humanity he witnessed. That year, Ed performed hundreds of shows. Hundreds. Think about that. Nearly every single day, he was out there, playing his heart out. Some nights, he'd get a small, captivated audience, a handful of people who stopped and truly listened. But most nights, it was a different story. People walked by without a second glance. They ignored him, their faces buried in their phones, their minds elsewhere. He became part of the city's background noise. Some people laughed at the ginger kid with the small guitar. Others would just dismiss him with a wave of their hand. The rejection was constant and brutal. But Ed didn't stop. He couldn't stop. He saw every snub, every empty room, not as a failure, but as a lesson. He taught himself new chords, his fingers growing calloused and strong. He refined his lyrics, searching for the perfect word, the most honest phrase. He experimented with melodies, looping sounds with a pedal he'd saved up for, creating a one-man band out of sheer necessity and innovation. He wasn't just surviving, he was evolving as an artist, right there on the pavement. He scraped together enough money to burn his own demo CDs, printing the labels himself. He'd spend his days mailing them out to every record label he could find an address for, his hopes packed into each padded envelope. The rejection letters started piling up, a mountain of formal, polite no's. They told him his voice wasn't right. His songs weren't commercial. His look wasn't what they were looking for. Each letter was a small sting. Another door slammed shut. But Ed refused to be discouraged. He took every single no and used it as fuel. He told himself that for every 10 no's, he was one step closer to a yes. He just had to keep going. One particular night, the memory of it sharp and clear. He was playing in a tiny, dimly lit bar. The air was thick with the smell of stale beer. There were exactly 3 people in the audience. 3. And one of them was the bartender. As he packed up his guitar, the silence of the room ringing in his ears, a profound realization hit him. He didn't have industry connections. He didn't have money. He didn't have a famous last name. The only thing he had, the only thing that could ever get him from this tiny bar to a massive stage, was his own persistence. It was his only ticket. So he doubled down. He hustled harder. He started performing on the streets, not just for exposure, but for tips. He needed money to eat, to survive. He'd play for hours, his voice growing raw, his fingers aching, hoping for a few coins to be tossed into his open guitar case. And all the while, in the midst of this daily struggle for survival, He was crafting the very songs that would one day become global anthems. The soundtrack to millions of lives. The melodies were born from hunger. The lyrics were shaped by hardship. And then, slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, things began to change. A person would stop, then two, then a small crowd would gather. Someone would film him on their phone, the shaky footage capturing a raw, undeniable talent. These little videos started spreading online, passed from friend to friend. A ripple effect was starting. His unique voice, a blend of soulful folk and fast-paced rap, combined with his incredible skill with a loop pedal, started to get noticed. His raw talent, unpolished and authentic, caught the attention of the right people. And one of those people, in a chance encounter that felt like fate, would change everything. That person was the actor and musician Jamie Foxx. But that moment, that single night, that opened a door Ed never even knew existed, is a story for our next episode. Ed Sheeran's journey from the streets of London proves one powerful truth. Struggle is temporary, but the heart of a persistent dreamer beats forever. Make sure you watch the next episode to see how that one encounter in a foreign city would turn Ed from a struggling street musician into a rising star. Don't forget to subscribe to Storey to follow the full, incredible journey. Thanks for watching.